Hi, everyone. This is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and I am excited to be with you tonight. One of my favorite subjects we are talking about tonight. So, we are talking about dream interpretations. And one of the things that I've noticed about myself for many, many, many years is that when someone tells me what their dream is, I immediately know like what it means. And even before I understood that I was a psychic, even before I knew I was a medium, before I knew about any of this, it was just kind of like I just like instantly knew what they were trying to get or what the dream was trying to get them to understand. Hi, Demetrius. Hi, Carmen. So it's one of those. I love dream interpretation because it is something that. Is really our like subconscious mind really trying to work through something. It's our subconscious mind like really trying to understand what's going on in our world, what's coming around, how do we deal with this, how do we do this, all of those wonderful things. And it really can bring us a deeper insight into what's going on around us and with other situations, and kind of giving us that deeper insight that most of us are really desiring to have. And a lot of times it's really the information that our angels and guides are really trying to tell us on a daily basis, but for whatever reason we're not listening. So sometimes when we're kind of have anything else to do and we're asleep, they can kind of send us these messages. And it's really meant for us to understand and kind of decipher all of this. So I think that's kind of the fun part about dream interpretation. So I had a couple of people send me their dreams, and I've got a couple of them up here with me, and I'm going to, hello, Miss G, Miss Grace, how are you doing? I am so excited to be with you guys this evening and kind of really be here with you guys. And if y'all have a question about some of this stuff, like I said, I got a few of them sent to me. A lot of times when I do dream interpretations, and it's one of the features that I do for some of my clients, and I'll do dream interpretation for a period of time for them. A lot of times they're not giving me enough feeling. I need to know the feeling because that's kind of telling me where I need to go with the information or what else needs to come up. So I've got a couple of dreams that I'm going to interpret, and then I'm going to kind of go into some generics about dreams. So if you kind of resonate with that, let me know, say, hey, this is me, or this is what I've been dealing with. It makes it a lot easier to understand what's going on with our dreams. So, and then of course, I'm going to pull some angel cards. You know how I love my angel cards. Sometimes it can give us a deeper insight into what's going on with our dreams, what's going on in and around us. So this is a really, really fun one. The first dream interpretation I'm going to do is for Paige. And Paige sent me a dream, and it's just a small dream. It's a very short dream that she wasn't really sure that she got enough information on. So I was like, let me see. So what she was talking about is she was outside in an apartment complex, and the apartment complex was like a mustardy yellow color. That will make sense in a minute, that she'd never seen before. She turns a key in her dark green door and saw a man appear. He also had a key to an apartment right next door to hers. And he looked like a guy that she'd seen in her dream previous to this. And she really kind of felt like really giddy and kind of like, oh my gosh, really excited inside. So, and she just kind of really felt herself like smiling from the inside out, almost like this inner glow coming out with her. And then she looked over her shoulder at him, at the gentleman, and he smiled back and kind of, rolled his eyes down, kind of like I'm, kind of embarrassed or kind of like quirky. Somehow in this dream, she woke up shortly thereafter. So that's like a really interesting, interesting way to kind of think about things. So the mustardy yellow color is kind of like her energy of like her life has been kind of like this plain, not spicy, kind of like not really a lot going on. Sorry. And turning the key is like her way of turning like into what's coming up next, what's coming in, what's coming up next for her. So it's kind of like turning the key to that. She did say that she had seen this gentleman in a previous dream, which is really interesting because they have had a previous life together. I get that they've had many, many lifetimes together. She said he was really cute, African American, really dark set eyes, really handsome. And so it's one of those like, and she had like this instant recognition. And that's where I know it's like, that's coming in from a past life. That is coming in with so much past life information. But the mustard yellow is kind of like this plain life that she's had before. And then the door she talked about was dark green. And that's all about like this new growth and new things that are coming in or new things that are starting for her. So that makes it really, really interesting to talk about that. My next dream is from a client, and kind of the one thing you have to understand about him is he is a truck driver, and he has just the sweetest energy, but he actually text messages this dream to me. And so he was driving down the road, and kind of like it's just two lanes going the same direction. There's nothing else around him, but there's just trees. And so he keeps going, and all of a sudden a train literally crosses his tracks. There's no train tracks or anything else. There's no up and down or anything like that. It's on regular road. And this train comes across and he hits the train right after the engine. So like that next car, like right after the engine. And so we talked about that, texted back and forth a little bit to get a little bit deeper insight. And so for him, I was telling him that his dream was talking about him kind of coming to an abrupt end on his transportation phase of his life. And he's been a truck driver for, I think, 24, 25 years. And so he was really excited about that, but it kind of just like comes to a stop, and that's where he hits the train, and he kind of like rides the train the other direction. And so I thought this was really interesting for him. I also got, since it was coming up in the second car, that's what he hit. The cool part is that's not coming up this year, it's coming up next year. And so these are really some amazing energies for him that are changing. He's wanted to get out of transportation for a while, but he makes really good money at it. But he's kind of like, oh, I'm ready for something new, something a little bit different. So that's what he's totally excited about. And I think that's like the really interesting part, is to have that energy of like, now things are changing. So let me talk about some of the animals that people have in their dreams more than anything else. So I did a snake, a rat, a dog, and a cat. Hi, Miss Myra. How are you doing? So a snake, the best way to do it is kind of really think about like the three common things that you would say about every snake. And I mean, I know people love snakes and I know people hate snakes, and I can't, that sort of thing. But it's not necessarily about the snake itself, not quite yet. So the three things that people would say if they really knew snakes is, one, that all snakes continually grow from the moment they're born until the moment they passed. They are in constant growth. That is like the totally cool part. The second one is they move like no other animal, because the way a snake moves, it moves like no other animal on this whole planet, which is really interesting. And three, it's one of those snakes, because they're, I'm saying, like they always have the tongue coming out. It's like they're always sensing. So they're always kind of reminding you to be aware of your like intuitive side, your sensitive side, what's coming out. So those are the three things you would get from a snake. Next, we're going to go into a rat. A lot of people have snake dreams about rats as well. So rats are all about like feeling doubt, kind of like not really sure where you should be going with things. Greedy rats will eat everything that they can find. And then it could be guilt or envy. Either one of those kind of also comes up with a rat. Let's see, with a dog, a lot of people love dogs. So dogs come in, and their kind of the message is intuition. They're always just instantly action. They're always just like this instant motion of what's coming in around them, what's kind of coming up for them. They're very loyal and they're very generous. and they can also be very protective. So depending on what the dog is doing in your dream, it could be a generosity issue or it could be a protective issue. And let's see, the last one is cats. So cats are always very independent. They think their own way. They kind of have their own ideas. And cats are very creative. The stuff or the mess that they get into is always crazy. And you always think like, how in the heck did he do this? Or how did the cat do this? And then cats are very powerful, even though they look very docile a lot of times or very small. And you're thinking like, the cat couldn't hurt me. It's one of those, this is really important to know that they are really, really powerful, and they can really come in with some amazing energy as well. So let's see, kind of some of the ones that I get most often I'm going to go into. So one of them is, let's see, if you dream that you're having an affair with somebody else, it's one of those, I get this a lot with people that are married, and sometimes they even like are not married and will think that like if I were to get with someone, they're going to have an affair on me or something like that. What it really is kind of this really interesting energy of wanting to escape or get away from something, some type of commitment that you have. And then you also can also have this idea of changing or modifying your job in some way when you were having a dream about an affair. I know that sounds really crazy, but let's pull an angel card and see what else we can learn about. Here's this one's going. We got a couple of them going about dreaming when you have an affair. So the card I get is romance. And sometimes when you've been married for a long period of time, sometimes when you have a dream about an affair, it could be your inner desire to have like this romantic part back in your marriage or something like that. So it's kind of like a little bit different, but romance is always one up there. Let's see. Have you ever had a dream that you have an accent? Sometimes people will have an accent. Maybe you'll get an accent from a different country. It could be from a different area. Sometimes one of my clients who's from the Northeast, I think she's from Buffalo, New York, sometimes in her dreams, she will have a Southern accent or a Southern drawl to her accent. And she'll be like, this is so weird. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. So one of the things that I get is really interesting is that usually that's not necessarily a dream moving forward. This is about going into a past life or bringing up information from a past life. And that can be really interesting because sometimes we can speak different languages or come, like I said, have different accents. It's a really interesting energy to have in there. And sometimes it's kind of our way of kind of bringing up information from a past life or kind of connecting with that past life in some manner or fashion so that we can feel like we've done something or there's something similar to our life now compared to what's going on in the past life. Let's see. So for our accents, we have surrender and release. So many times, like I said, it's past life information that's coming forward. And so one of the best secrets is when you have a dream that's really in a past life or any dream is look at your feet. I know that sounds really, really strange. Looking at your feet are going to tell you so much information. It's going to tell you kind of what color your skin is. Do you have shoes on? Maybe that could mean a sign of wealth. If you were barefoot and your feet were all dirty, that may be something that someone who is a little bit more poor. Let's see. It could be some other type of information. So that can be really interesting. So when you look at your feet and look up, it really does change like your perspective. Hi, Jim. How are you doing? I've also got Cece on the other one. So this is really cool. So when you have a dream, think about like looking at your feet and kind of looking up your body, and it will tell you a lot of information. So our next one is dreams about aliens. Have you ever had a dream that you were an alien or that you were abducted by aliens? This one is a really fun one. So a lot of times people will have dreams that they've been abducted by aliens and aliens have taken them away or done things to them and brought them back. Anybody resonate with that one? I think that one's a really cool one. Or have you ever had a dream that you were an alien? One of my clients had a dream not too long ago that she was an alien and she abducted a family member of hers. And I thought that was really interesting and cool. So kind of aliens are all about doing things that are unfamiliar with you, but it could also have that past life technicality to it as well. You may feel like the things that you're going through are alien to you, and so that can bring up an alien dream, or things that you don't like, things that you have like almost like, I hate that, I hate this energy, or I don't know what's coming up next, will also kind of bring in alien dreams as well. If you've never had an alien dream, they can be quite interesting, especially as you connect to that energy. Enchantment. Enchantment is all about like kind of seeing things differently. And a lot of times, like I said, aliens life dreams are all about kind of like seeing things the way you don't want them, or things that you don't want to bring to you. And it's kind of like really interesting in that perspective of like, what would you like to see in your life? What would you like to bring in? This one is a really fun one. So maybe a couple of you guys can answer this one, but I've also had a couple of females had this one. Is I had a client not too long ago that had a dream that literally all of her hair fell out. She was brushing her hair in the morning, just really long, straight hair. And so she was brushing her hair in the morning, and all of a sudden, all of her hair fell out. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so interesting. So when we did a dream interpretation for her, it was all about like losing like her like zest for life, almost like this helplessness of things like, I can't really fix this, or I don't know how to work through this, and almost like I need someone else to come in and help. It can also bring in like this exposure, because now your head is exposed. And so this exposure of like, I'm feeling overwhelmed with what's coming in at me, or whatever's about to happen. I'm overwhelmed by it. And it can be really a strong indication that things are about to change, or things are changing and you're just not quite ready for them yet. So let's pull an angel card for this one and kind of see what we can get with this. Divine timing. Everything happens in divine timing. Even if we don't think so, it's always divine timing. It is always the right, perfect time that it happens. But a lot of times what we end up doing as humans is kind of like sitting with like a donkey with our behind in the ground and going, no, 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 I don't want to change. I don't want to do this. And I don't. And it's almost like, I'm so afraid I'm just going to sit here and not do anything. And that's when you're more likely to have those dreams about becoming bald, or like your teeth falling out, that sort of thing, because it's like you're almost fighting this energy to move forward. You're fighting this like, no, 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 I so don't want this to happen. It's an interesting part of the dream of kind of having that to come in at you, but know that everything happens in divine timing. But if you're the one who's stopping everything, that makes the change. Now, instead of everything happening in this divine timing, like one step after the other, you're making it not work that way. You're making it kind of stand still. That makes it a lot easier to understand in that perspective. And it really can be overwhelming. So let's see. I'm trying to get, okay, so have you ever had a dream that you were a different person? Sometimes people will have a dream and they'll look at themselves, like they'll pass themselves in a mirror or something like that, or something that's reflective, and they look at themselves and they're like, wait, I don't look like that. That's completely different. This person is taller or thinner or heavier set or different colored skin or darker complected, lighter complected. It's something like, you're kind of like, wait, this isn't me. What's wrong? Why am I not the same? Why am I changing? Or why is this not me? That could be past life as well, but it could also be that you're trying to get a view of someone else's life. So you're trying to get this perspective from someone else's point of view, or kind of like walk a mile in their shoes. And you're trying to really see how things are going for them compared to what you think it is. I will tell you, a lot of times when this happens is you're trying to really get an insight to someone's life that you think is easier than yours or not as hard as yours, however you want to put that into verbiage. But it makes it more understandable. But it's like when you're kind of looking at their life as like, well, their life comes so easy, or they have this, or their business just flew off the handle and is great, that sort of thing. And it really is more about you and wanting to see your life through their eyes. So the card I pull for this is emerging, and know that we're all meant to have this amazing life. And it's not necessarily anything about jealousy, but it's not your divine timing. It's not your time to kind of flourish at this time. So know that this is coming in to change or modify your perspective, and give them a different insight into what's going on. So this next one is one that I deal with so often. And this is actually the time of year that I deal with it more than any other time of year. I will have parents call me in the middle of the night crying and screaming. I will have parents calling me after they've dropped their kid off from college or whatever it is, or off to school, and they're blubbering. Most of the time I can't understand what they're saying anyway, but I think it's really interesting. But they would have had a dream that their child passes. Or if you have you ever had a dream that you pass? So many times this comes in, and people are like terrified, like, oh my gosh, my child is going to die. I had this dream that, this happened or that happened and they passed. It's really not anything that big, but I will tell you 9 times out of 10, I will tell you that this is the really interesting time to understand is when you have a dream about yourself passing or someone else passing, what's really important to understand is really it's a new chapter in their life. So, and sometimes you can have dreams of you passing because it's a new chapter in your life. So it's kind of like almost like a death of the old person and a birth of the new person. A lot of people have it, like I said, when their kids go off to school. Who was it called me last week? I think their child was entering first grade or kindergarten. I couldn't remember which one. But they had a dream that their child died. And I was like, it's because it's a death of that little child that used to keep at home and mommy and all that kind of stuff. And now they're heading off to school. So like your position is changing. They're not a little child anymore. This education part is starting for them. So that was like really cool. But then also moms will start having these dreams that they're passing. And it's usually when their kids make the major changes, when they go from elementary school to middle school, or middle school to high school, or high school to college, because it's like their position in the family is now changing, kind of like the stay-at-home mom with kids in middle school or whatever else, or high school, is no longer, and now you have a child in college and your position in the family has changed. So that's kind of a death of that and coming in to something new and different. That's a really interesting one, and I guarantee you I have that a lot. Let me see. If y'all resonate with any of these, let me know. Okay. Have you ever had a dream? This was a funny one that one of my clients was talking to me about not too long ago. Is okay, hold on. Myra has a question. Myra's asking, what would it be to be at a funeral? It may be that you're witnessing someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're at someone else's funeral, depending on if the person has passed or not. If the person has not passed, it would be you're seeing their life change and modify in some ways that you're not completely comfortable with, or you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're now going to school, or they're now this age. And it's kind of like watching them. If it's someone who has already passed, it's kind of thinking about how your life has changed since they passed, kind of like what has changed you since their life has passed. Kind of like if your grandparents have passed and now it's kind of like what's gone on since they've been gone. How have your life changed or different? Tony, I did not get your dream. I did not. I have been checking emails all day, keeping an eye on things. Early this morning, I did not get it. I'll have to do that one for you, Tony. Let's see. Have you ever had a dream that you lost your head? Now, so many times, this is something that I think is really interesting that happens quite a lot for people, is that they'll have a dream that they have literally lost their head. And it really means like a sense of like missing who they are, or kind of missing your own identity with things. And that's kind of like a like a really interesting part that a lot of people just don't understand. It's one of those, like, it's kind of like this loss of identity, a loss of who you really are, or a change to that. That's a really interesting one. Let's see. Uh, okay. Oh, I had a client not too long ago that had a dream that she was in one of the cars that convert. I'm trying to think. That's cute, Courtney. Not her whole head. I have had dreams where I've lost my whole head, and I had a dream one time that I found my head, but I couldn't put it on. So that was always kind of like that loss of control. I can't get it back on. But have you ever had a dream that you were in a car that you couldn't steer or drive? One of my clients had a dream that they were in, I don't know what the show is, like Megatron or something like that. Like she was in this big car, but there were no steering controls, and literally the car was alive. And that's really also the same thing about like losing control, losing, like feeling like you're out of control of what's going on, or not able to control things that are around you, or things that are happening to you. So that's a really interesting one. Let's see. Trying to find another good one. I wrote down a couple of hints and stuff like that. Oh, have you ever had a dream that you were pregnant? Transformers. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I couldn't remember the name of it. So the Transformers. Okay. So have you ever had a dream that you were pregnant? Man or female, it doesn't really matter. Have you ever had a dream that you were pregnant when you really, really weren't? Anybody who's ever had a dream that they were pregnant is kind of really an interesting one. That it's really kind of this insight into like things that you can't, that you want to manifest, that you feel like you can't necessarily bring forward, things that you want to birth out in some interesting way. Sometimes it could be also a business. When you have a business, it's like giving birth. It's one of those, like, you're always concerned about it. You're always worried about it. How is it going to do? How is it going to do this? How is this energy going to help? How is that going to help? That sort of thing. So that's kind of like the interesting, quirky part about it, is kind of like this giving birth to your next chapter, or giving birth about what's to happen, and bringing that really interestingly forward. And I've had it a lot, I would say, more with men being pregnant than women. So I think that's really interesting. And I will tell you that 9 times out of 10, it's something that they want to do. Like they want to start a new business or start something different, going through that. So that's kind of like the interesting part of having this dream about that you're pregnant. I think that's really interesting, and also brings in a lot of potential energy as well. Like, what would you like to make this into? What would you like to bring forward? Well, let's do an angel card. I forgot to do that. So let's do an angel card. So when you have a dream about being pregnant, it's really about bringing in a new love. And like I said, sometimes that can be a business. It can be something else. Sometimes it can be this interesting kind of like, I want to give birth to something, or I want to create something, but always in this new love energy. Like, I want to bring in something that I just love doing. I love this part of life, or I love this part. So that's like a really interesting energy as well. Have you ever had a dream that you have lost? Okay, hold on. Carmen's coming up with one. Carmen says, woke up knowing I've been dreaming, can't remember the dream, but I have a line from a. different songs on different days. So usually that's one of the easiest ways, Carmen, for our angels and guides to send us messages is through songs. And a lot of times they not necessarily like old songs, but songs that we remember that we really liked and we listened to it a lot. So we kind of know like all the words with it. And so it's easier for us to remember those words, but it's really our messages from our archangels, our angels around us. And so kind of thinking about like those words, they may come in a different order. You may need to redo a couple of words in there, but I will tell you for the most part, this is all about bringing in a message of coming up, what's next, kind of that energy, dreaming that you can, the songs coming forward, and that always has a message. Those songs always have a message. And I do have several clients that dream in songs as well. And sometimes they dream that they're singing the song. So I think that's really interesting. One of them likes to pretend like she's on stage and singing the song. So that's a really interesting one. The last one we're going to do tonight is if you've ever had a dream that you've lost something, and it could be a loss of something valuable, something not valuable, lose your shoes, searching for someone, anything that you've actually lost. A lot of times people will bring in these really interesting dreams, and really kind of the dreams that kind of are all about something you're looking for. Sometimes like people will, in their dreams, like tear up their house, kind of like mess everything up, trying to find like one little thing. And it's kind of like feeling like you have a lower value of something, or you've put something where it shouldn't have been, like you put it in a place of lower value than a higher value, something that you should have honored or kept a promise to, and you didn't, and that's the loss of it. Sometimes when we search for people in our dreams, it's trying to find different aspects of ourselves. So that is really, really interesting. The one, when you lose something, it's really important that it's kind of like, what is my connection to this? And that's the really interesting part. So let's pull one for lost things. And it can also be signs that there's something coming in or something that is going to be leaving, so you can open up to new energy. So a lot of times when like we've lost something, it's kind of like we start looking for it, but a lot of times it's not really what we're looking for. I did have a client not too long ago that had, she has been doing weight loss stuff for quite a while and really trying to lose some weight. And she woke up, in her dream, she woke up and she lost her stomach. She couldn't find it. And so she kept searching for it. And I thought it was really interesting because she's been on this diet for quite a while. And kind of really interestingly enough, that she was still looking for her lost stomach that she couldn't find. But that was kind of the cute part. And that's kind of like, she'd been wanting to lose this, but when she lost it, she was looking for it. So that's kind of a strange thing. But when you lose something, it's also trying to find the abundance in things. Abundance in things can be really interesting when you find interesting aspects of it, or when you kind of like, what is the abundance in this? And like I said, and usually that's coming in with what you can't find, something better is going to come in. So when you can't find something, know that something better is going to come in. A client of mine had a dream not too long ago. I thought it was really funny. She couldn't find her shoes, and she could not find them anywhere, and thought that was really interesting. And I thought this was kind of like, this is cool. But it was one of those, it was really interesting because like 2 or 3 days later, her husband gave her a new pair of shoes. That was really interesting. Okay, hold on. So let's see. I've got it. Okay, Regina's saying it's like I'm talking straight to her. Left her ICU hospice job for new career. It's one of those, when you've kind of like lost or ready for something new, it will come into you. There's nothing you can't deal with except for like sitting, like I said, with a donkey with your behind in the ground, of not moving forward. That makes it really, really interesting to have that energy come forward, to be ready for those changes to come in at you. We are actually over time. I so apologize. I thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. I should be on that'll be our first one in September. So we've got a couple of great things coming up in September. And then we also have some planetary energies that we're going to be dealing with next time. So I'll be talking about all the planetary energies that will be affecting us in September. I thank you so much, guys, for joining me, and I will see you next time.